Hi everyone, thanks very much for tuning into the video. Today we're looking at, or should I say we're listening to, my latest sound fit, which is the Class 101 DMU from Digitrains. It's one of Paul Chetter's projects, and this is one that I purchased recently actually, and I'm really delighted with it. I'd originally bought one of these Digitrain sound chips about 5 years ago, and it was fine. But this new one, which actually I've actually had reblown, features what they call the Activedrive, which means you can actually drive the DMU manually by notching up through the gears, and I'll be showing you that later on. So now, before we take a tour of the layout with the DMU running around, I'd just like to play a few of the sounds which possibly I wouldn't use too much myself anyway, because I tend to only like to hear the sounds that you'd normally hear from outside of a train, both locos and DMUs. So things like windscreen wipers and things like that I would tend not to use, but I just thought I'd just play them just to give an idea of how many features there are actually included on the sound project, which is quite remarkable really. So we'll have a listen to those sounds now. Okay, so for a few of these sounds, it's probably easier to hear them when the engine is switched off. So going through the list, one thing I will say about the Digitrains projects is that you always get a very good description of the project, a little bit about the prototype of the DMU, of how the gears were operated, and also you get a very comprehensive list of functions. It's found that some of the other projects that you buy a little bit lacking in information, but the Digitrains ones are always very good. So anyway, to start off, we'll start off with the guards whistle, which is on F8, and then flange squeal, which is particularly good. You'll hear that when we get the train moving. So that's the flange squeal on F9. F11 is the guard to the driver's buzzer, and then you latch it off again for the driver back to the guard, the response. So that's F11. F12 is a single buzzer. Not too sure what that was in real life. I think it might mean stop. We need to check that out on the internet. F13 is the driver's door. That wasn't F13. That was F3, and I couldn't switch it off. I'll try it again, F13. There's the problem with the power cab is that you have to, well, I've got it programmed to actually hit the option and then the key numbers, but the problem with the power cab is that you can't see the different F numbers on the screen. Anything above F6 just disappears, you just don't see that. So anyway, get back to what we were doing. Where was I? F13 is the driver's door. Right, again this time. That's F13, driver's door. F14, passenger door slams. F15, air tanks drain down. F16, handbrake applied. F17, windscreen wipers. They stay on until you latch it off again. And F18 is the drop light window. Okay, so that gives an idea of the sounds that are available on the project. As I say, I wouldn't normally use most of those, apart from the flange squeal and the buzzers are okay, and also the passenger door slams, which they sound really good. So we're almost time to take it for a spin around the layout. But before we do that, there's just a couple of things that I'd like to mention about the project. When you move away normally, it simulates the DMU pulling away under load. So the first gear is kind of drawn out quite a long time. But the great thing about the project is that if you actually, before you move away, if you press F5, it simulates the DMU pulling away in a lighter mode. In other words, like if it was empty, or if it was on level, or possibly a down gradient, and it actually accelerates through the gears that much quicker. The best feature, as far as I'm concerned, which makes it so controllable, is F6. F6 is a shunt mode, so you can just move around the yard really with the DMU just ticking over. And if you press F7, which kind of gives you a little bit of throttle sound, but not too loud, but just enough to give it a blip of the throttle, it means that you can just move around the yard, and it simulates just really just to be crawling around. But you'll hear that when we get going. Just a couple of very minor things that I didn't particularly like about the project. And these are very, very minor things, only as far as I'm concerned. Between gear changes, there's a kind of tss sound, which is the EP valves, which was a feature of these units. But I found with this particular sound project, that sound is a little bit too loud in relation to the rest of the engine sounds. I found that it's only a very small thing, but slightly annoying. I wish really the tsh wasn't there at all, to be quite honest, but anyway. And the other thing is that the horns, you've just got a high and a low and a low and a high, albeit you can extend the second note by holding the key down. That's either F3 or F4. I'd have preferred really an option of a single horn, maybe on another function, but maybe Paul had run out of function, so can't really complain about that too much. It's me being ultra pernickety probably about the DMUs, but I must say that I've waited many years for a good sound project, and this one really does tick all the boxes, to be quite honest. So without further ado, we'll fire her up. Okay then, so it's some F1 to start the engines as normal. You notice that true to the prototype, there's 2 engine starts. There's always two engines in each of these power cars. And now I'm going to demonstrate just moving off very, very slowly in the shunting mode. So what I do is I engage F6 and then a quick blip of F7. See the loco moving off very, very slowly there. Release F7 and the loco, or this, should I say, the DMU, will just crawl along very nicely, just on tick over. I think the maximum speed in some of the depots is probably about 5 miles an hour, so you can get a very, very good prototypical operation by using that shunt mode. I have to say the Zymo decoder is particularly smooth. Very impressed with that as well. Just give it another quick blip of the revs. And you can just increase the speed a tiny little bit. So that's so controllable, and I'm really pleased with that. So now we're going to head into the station area and take it from there. Okay, so now we're just running into the station area. We're still on F6, so it's just literally just crawling along, just on the tick over really. F2 applies a vacuum brake, and you hold F2 and brake again and come to that nice standstill. Again, I can just demonstrate just a quick crawl forward, because I've probably stopped a little bit too short of the platform. So if I just want to move him along, quick blip, should I say, of F7. Still got that F6 on. Off with F7. And as I say, I'll just creep up there. Now we'll just switch off. If you can hear a cat in the background, that's my cat Benji, and he's screaming out for his tea. You'll have to wait till I finish this video. So now we'll take a tour of the layout, and I just want to demonstrate the normal running mode. So in other words, this is the heavily loaded mode with passengers. So I'll just fire up. Second engine. And if you hold down F7, you can actually simulate the driver revving up the engines just to charge up the air for the EP valves. You can do that while the unit's at a standstill. That's very prototypical, that is. So F11. Off we go. Hear the lovely flange squeal. And see, I've just notched down one on the controller just so that the unit can actually coast. You don't always want to be running up through the gears all the time, especially if you're running through point work. You just want to just relax on the, you can just hit F7, just give you a little bit more engine, a bit more of an engine tone there. And it's still coasting there, so just a quick blip of the throttle brings the engine back to life. Again, coasting again, and prototypically, as we reduce the speed on the throttle, the DMU doesn't engage gear because it's just coasting to virtually a standstill. Until you just notch up the throttle again, and then we're back into gear, which is brilliant. Please excuse the mess on the layout, by the way, work in progress. Okay, now I've just engaged F2, which is the brake mode, and that's really good. Now I want to demonstrate the other starting mode, which is when you engage F5 to start off with. You'll see, and you'd rather say you'd hear different acceleration mode, which is the lightly loaded mode. So here we go. You see, that's much shorter, which is a useful feature. You know, to me, all that is brilliant, to be quite honest. So much so that I'm in the process of ordering another 101 so I can run 2 units consisted together. That'd be really good. Also hoping to get a couple of 108s as well, though the sound will be slightly different. Now I don't think we'll be able to consist those together because of the variation of on the project, the 2 different projects, but we'll have a go at it anyway. But I'm really looking forward to getting the 108s done as well. So I've got 2 108s to do and another 101. So I'll be posting hopefully a few DMUs running in multiple in the future. So thanks very much for watching, folks. Sorry about I'm stumbling over my words a little bit, but I find it a bit difficult to concentrate on not only holding the phone but holding the power cab and trying to think of what I'm trying to say at the same time. It's just a bit too much for my brain, but thanks very much, and really appreciate any comments at the end of the video, just to let me know what you think of the sound project. Now in the meantime, I really must go and feed my cat, who is actually getting quite desperate for his tea, so thanks very much.